Welcome back to this week of the 615 Locker Room Podcast. I'm your host, Wormy, with my co host, Uncle Matt or Matt. First off, I just want to say I just found out that it was St. Patrick's Day and it's like 7 p.m. my time. I had no clue. I've been at work all day and didn't wake up until late. So I saw a Instagram video posted by the Hornets of LaMelo Ball guessing how many shamrocks were in a jar. And I was like, why is this relevant? And then I found out it's St. Patty's Day. So thanks, LaMelo Ball. Happy to everyone that's celebrating. Uncle Matt doesn't drink. I do. I'll probably have a Guinness later. Um, but
Were you accidentally wearing green, or just nobody pinched you today?
no one pinched me somehow. So no, I wasn't wearing green. I see you have your green on, so I guess I'm
I do. I
the
have to.
one person in the world that forgot about it. Um, Speaking of lucky, uh, we got bailed out this week with a win from Nashville SC in Columbus. Did you like that segue? That's kind of one
Yeah,
of my smoother ones.
good. That's good. Very, very, very high level professional stuff right there.
I was so unfortunately I was working through the match. It started early. I hate that. That's stupid. So I got to watch like the first probably 30 minutes, but then um I had a poker night with the boys. So I have a vlog coming out of that maybe. There's some stuff in there, and one of our friends who is in it is a teacher, so it's gotta be edited of some sorts. But yeah, so I didn't get to watch the end of it. He actually watched the full game. And yeah, so I will kind of take the back seat here a little bit and let Matt kind of give a breakdown of what he thought about the game and a play by of really our second string that carried us through most of the game. So yeah.
Yeah, I just to kind of level with you there. I mean, my two best friends are both teachers, so if you go through the history of my vlogs, you will see a lot of strategic editing around people that I'm clearly at events and activities with that I'm having to constantly cut out of videos because they're like, I can't have any stupid students seeing this and like being able to be like, and I'm like, you're not even doing anything. I'm the one doing all the stupid stuff, and they're just like, nah, I can't be in it. But yeah, it was, in a certain way, it was kind of probably went a little bit according to plan. Obviously, we played a largely kind of rotated squad for the match. First half seemed a little disjointed, a little out of sorts, kind of the way you'd expect. But outside of the goal that was ultimately rolled off sides, Columbus really couldn't put much together either. We had still had our defensive stability. Maxwell Woladaisy was kind of the one holdover who kind of played from the kind of main first choice 11 right now. And then second half, once we we're sitting there 0-0, knowing that there's a chance to really go for it and get 3 points in a match where we got the rest we needed for our players, we started bringing people on. Hani and Sam come on at halftime. Then Espinoza, Yazback, some of those guys come on a little bit later, and right to the death. We had everything we wanted there. Definitely the game changed a little bit once those guys came on, but right at the end, just Christian Espinoza just really, really looking like what we thought he was going to be, what the player we were hoping we were going to get. Just ultimately put like that poor Columbus defender Camacho on skates and just like the worst way possible. Like there's like a bunch of funny edits I saw afterwards. Like obviously like he made him fall once, he tried to get back up, then he fell again. Then he just puts it on the plate to Espinoza puts it on the plate to Hani for the tap in finish. But there's some really great edits that like really zoom in on Camacho just getting just. I tweeted he got sent to the shadow realm, but there's some good edits where like you see him go down and like the funniest reaction he possibly could have is like he kind of gets up and like throws his arms up to like his other teammates like, come on guys. It's like, wait a minute, who are you? Why are you throwing your arms up in this situation? This is like you got just like absolutely smoked right there. Like what could you possibly be doing? But yeah, it's that was honestly like that little like you know 30-second sequence is like maybe one of the most exciting sequences we've had this season, which is saying a lot. Where we've like smoked a couple teams like 3-1, 5-0, 6-0 against Ottawa. To see Espinoza kind of really coming to life and coming into his own, like that to me is like the most exciting part of that game is that he's had flashes. Obviously the Dallas game, he had the two missed chances, and then Miami was a little bit of the same. And this game, where it's like that confidence is growing for him, the rhythm, the consistency, the kind of chemistry with Hani and Sam is growing. So I'm pretty excited about that. Like as excited as you could be about a goal scored in like the 94th minute of a match,
Yeah.
I think it's a good, just it's a good because we got the 3 points obviously, but it's also good kind of because it kind of like gets me excited for how much better we can be as this continues to evolve for us.
Yeah, so what time in the game did was it that we kind of subbed on like our Avengers, which was what Sam, Hani, and Espinoza was the subs, I think.
Yeah, Sam and Hani both came on at halftime, so they played the full second half. Espinoza and Yazbak came on maybe like 60, 65 minutes in, somewhere in that range. So yeah, and that I'm sure that was BJ's game plan was to kind of
Mm-hmm.
say, hey, let's rest these guys. Let's see if we can, get through it with the backups. But if we're in a spot where we can go for it, we'll bring the other guys back on late and kind of go for it. So like in a perfect world, we win that game 5-0 with the backups and nobody has to play. But at the same time, it's one of those weird things where like everybody's like, when you're in the Concacaf Champions Cup, there's all this talk about like you got to rotate, you got to save people fresh. Sometimes teams sacrifice like their early MLS games to make sure they focus on Concacaf Champions Cup. But I'm kind of like, we're also in this weird mode where it's early in the season, and I feel like these guys need to get the minutes. They need to get their legs going because
Yeah.
it's like it's early days, so it's kind of a weird kind of conundrum. Like I was just, this is totally side tangent here. I was watching the pregame for the World Baseball Classic Championship, and Paul Skeens, ace pitcher, elite like high level pitcher for Pittsburgh Pirates for America, was talking about like one of the weird things about the World Baseball Classic for them is they're in spring training, so he's like going out there. He's trying to throw his best ball to help USA win the tournament, but at the same time, he's not trying to blow his shoulder out because he's just now ramping up for the start of like the regular season for baseball and stuff like that. So we're kind of in that same mode with MLS where like this is a big competition. We want to go for it in CONCACAF Champions Cup, but at the same time, these guys are still getting their legs underneath them for the full regular season. Like we're in March. They just released the playoffs. The finals this year are December 18th. So we've got a lot of football, a lot of soccer, whatever you want to call it, in front of us. So worked out pretty well to get some rest in for the top guys. Coming back to that, but also still getting them a chance to kind of get their legs going. Miami, we'll talk a lot about that, I'm sure, as we get into the CONCACAF Champions Cup side of things. But Miami rotated two at the weekend and basically didn't bring anybody on and settled for a 0-0 draw with Charlotte. So you know, I think the way we did things worked out pretty well for us. So I'm pretty happy with the result and pretty happy with how we've managed this kind of early season schedule fixture congestion.
How do you think that our kind of second string guys fared in competition?
I mean, I think it was really good. I mean, you look at like this group versus who we were throwing out like in the early rounds of like the U.S. Open Cup last season. Like I think we talked about when we were kind of going through the comings and goings and like our relaunch pod. A guy like Wyatt Meyer, who last year was kind of like a little bit of a fan favorite, kind of like a little bit of a guy that people like grew into, but that's a guy who is miles behind everybody that was playing in this rotated squad this weekend. So I mean, just to see the level of talent that our backups have, like Alex Muil, who's been a staple for Nashville SC, basically since day one. Now kind of being a guy that you can kind of bring in as a backup. Even Eddie Tagseth a little bit, kind of maybe having to fight off Matthew Corcoran for that starting spot in midfield, and him kind of falling maybe into a second
Mm-hmm.
1A 1B type position. The level of what our rotated squad looks like compared to what it looked like in past years. That was the big takeaway for me, was like we were right there with Columbus. Like we had some decent chances in the first half where it could have easily been 1-0 for them, but also could have easily been like 1 or 2-0 for us. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, the depth, the overall squad depth we have, just seems like much better now than it has been in the past. So obviously they didn't really fully click. There was a lot of I listened to like one of another Nashville SC podcast, and they were kind of a little critical of Ahmad Kassam, because like I think a lot of people expected him to kind of be one of the breakout guys this year, and he's kind of got pushed to the side a little bit by Warren Madrigal. But at the same time, it's kind of like it's always hard when like you're the backups and you get a game like this where you just get thrown in because like you don't have the same rhythm that the guys who are playing consistently have.
Yeah.
And you're Ahmad Kassam, I mean, I bet he would look a lot better if he was passing the ball to Hani Mukhtar, Sam Surridge, Christian Espinoza, Patrick Yazbak. So
it's a little unfair to him, but at the same time, Warren Madrigal, to his credit, has seized the opportunity he's had earlier this season and deserves it. So, um, I think everybody looked pretty good. It's hard. We're in a weird spot where it's like
Hmm.
everybody's kind of raw, everybody's kind of
Yeah.
feeling their way into the season still. So to have basically dropped, I don't know what 8 or 9 of our starting players and come out of Columbus of all places, which is I think there was I saw a stat that between us and Columbus before this match, the away team had never won. So this is the first time the away team ever won in the history of like our series with them. So,
Huh.
to do what we did and come out with a point, granted we did have to like pull in the big guns, but still, I mean,
Yeah.
I thought the backups held their own. They kept us in the game. They gave us the opportunity to get to that point where, we could bring the big guns in because if, they had started the game and they'd crap the bed and we were down 2-0 at halftime, I think we don't bring in those guys at all. We just kind of call that game a wash and move on. So
Yeah.
credit those guys for putting up a good fight, with a lot of them being cold, not having a whole lot of minutes so far. I mean, Reed Baker Whiting, not he wasn't in this one, but there was somebody who was it, Ruben Passius. This was his first ever MLS start. And, I thought he did a good job. I thought where we had dropped Sam in the Dallas match, I thought some of the stuff when Rubus was getting into good spots, getting good positions, stretching out the defense a little bit in a way we couldn't when we played Dallas without Sam. I thought he looked good. He didn't obviously get his end product, but I thought he was pretty good in this match.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I think the Kassam thing is just everyone was, well, in like his first game he scored 1 or 2 goals, I think. So it's just when you have a hot star like that, people mess up their expectations. But
And I think that just to like not to like spend the whole time talking about him, but I think he is. We've talked about this before. He's almost like the anti Jacob Schaffelberg,
yeah.
where his style of play is very casual. I don't know if that's the right word. It's very slow. It's very like he doesn't ever look like he's trying that hard. But I almost notice it more when like I'm at the games live. Like he is shockingly like tall. Like I don't know if you've seen him play live. If you've been able to see him when the match
I
replay,
don't think so.
like he is surprisingly tall. Like we've got kind of sideline seats where we usually sit at the games, and so the handful of times he's been like right in front of us, I'm like, he's like alarmingly tall for what you think he is. He does not look like that tall for whatever reason on TV or whatever. So like he's also like moving faster than it looks like he's moving. Like
Hmm.
I think when you're like a taller guy, a little more athletic build, you're moving like a guy like Eddie Taxath or even Hani Mukhtar, Messi even like when you're kind of built like that, it shows off when you're working really hard to run really fast.
Yeah, yeah.
He kind of glides a little bit more, so I think he
Hmm.
gets like an unfair rap where it kind of looks like he's not trying that hard, but he's just moving more. I don't know if gracefully is the right word, but like I think he gets a bad rap because he's like the anti Schaffelberg, where it's like
Flashy.
casual MLS fans, casual soccer fans are like, oh, he's so fast, that guy's so fast, he's so good. Kassam's kind of the opposite of that, where everything's a little bit looking more methodical with him. That's probably a good word, is methodical. So I still think there's more to come from him. Like, trust Mike Jacobs. Obviously, he's knocked out of the park with all his signings. So
Hmm.
uh, we'll see what's to come from him. I don't want to crap on him too much, but I think other people have. And this is, I don't know if we're going to just, let's get away. I don't want to just turn this whole thing into like, let's defend a Mod Kassam podcast. But I think there's going to be some big things to come from him still. Like, I think he's got something in his locker.
And just a weird side side note to stick to it. He was like most. He was like besides like Hani Mukhtar, he was like the most featured in the like MLS like trading cards that came out this year, which I was kind of shocked by. I figured it'd be someone like Sam or yeah, a longer standing player, but he like had a bunch of patches and a bunch of cool stuff that people were like really chasing, which I found interesting. But the game that is probably on everyone's mind is going to be tomorrow. Inter Miami. We are playing away. I'll throw up a graphic from 615 Soccer, and I'll throw their links in the description so you can go check it out. Basically, it's the due to the CONCACAF rules of the away goal rule, this is like what would need to happen for Nashville to win. I'll throw that up on the screen. I don't have it right now, but yeah, it's going to be a tough one. I think we got the 0-0 draw. Obviously, playing away is and having a pretty stacked week. It doesn't make it easy, but can you explain maybe the away goal a little bit better for someone who's new to the CONCACAF Champions Cup?
Yeah, sure. That's a great point to bring up because my initial reaction, I think I even kind of talked about it a little bit, maybe in the vlog when I was down here in Georgia last week. I'm still in Georgia somehow, watching the game at the local soccer bar they have here. That I was a little disappointed coming out of the match last week because I thought we played really great. I thought that was one of our better performances against Miami in the Messi era. So to kind of get away with a 0-0 draw at home, I was pretty disappointed. I was like, this felt like, there's the old saying: if you come to the king, you best not miss. We came at the king last week, and it felt like we kind of missed. And then somebody in the comments in my video from watching that match actually said, like, hey, way goals rule. Like, we've got a pretty good, leg up there for that. So basically, what that means is, uh, in the Concacaf Champions Cup, it's a two-legged tie. So you play a home game, both teams play a home game, and the aggregate total score of the matches is who goes through. So if you finish tied on aggregate, so if it was like a 0-0 first match, 3-0 second match, whoever has the most away goals in the two games, that's the first tiebreaker. So we kind of have the advantage where we don't have to win the game against Miami. If we tie, we're going to go through because they got 0 away goals. So if we even get one away goal, so it's 1-1, that's the first tiebreaker. We would go through. So obviously that's a big thing to say, oh, all we have to do is not lose to Miami and we go through still. But I mean, that's still a huge advantage, like thinking about that from that regard, especially looking at how Miami has kind of had a kind of wonky, kind of slow start to the season. Seems like they haven't fully hit their stride, haven't fully integrated the new pieces they brought in to replace the Sergio Busquets and the Jordi Albas of the world. And that could be to our benefit, where we were looking at this initially kind of saying, oh, we got to play Miami again. Oh, this is such a terrible thing. Another tie with Miami. Getting them at this point in the season in a big competition where they're trying to integrate new players, trying to work through some new stuff, it might be to our benefit. I also could just see them coming out and just thrashing us 6-1 because that's just what they have the ability to do if things go right for them. But yeah, it is a weirdly big advantage to have that away goal be the first tiebreakers because now we can just, if we go finish 1-1, finish 2-2, finish 3-3, we go through automatically because they have 0 away goals, which for a long time that was the main tiebreaker in the European version of the Champions League, which is the primary version of the Champions League. They've recently, in like the last 2 or 3 years, discontinued that now to where if the teams are tied on aggregate at the end of the second leg, they just go through to extra time and then penalties and everything like you would normally would. So CONCACAF is one of the ones still holding on to that. So
Yeah,
could be a big benefit to Dash LSC that they're still holding on to that right now.
yeah, that's what my friend who I'll just call him Mark. That's his name. That I've mentioned a couple times. My friend who's Premier League fan who started watching National SC with me. He was telling me about how like it used to be a thing and everyone hated it, so they got rid of it. I completely jumped ahead of myself. It's been a long week if you couldn't tell. We haven't even talked about the Miami game that we played. Um, so the first thing I want to mention, I want to give a shout out to Schwake for going down, faking an injury. For the players to break Ramadan, I think that's super cool. He said in the interview after, he's like, "Yeah, I probably shouldn't say this," and everyone's like, "Yeah, you shouldn't, but we love you for that." Like, so he admitted that's what he did. That was super cool. I was stressing out. I was like, "Are we about to see Joe Willis back?" Because I didn't realize what had happened. I was like, dude, we have this promising young goalkeeper, and we're going back to Old Faithful Joe. Luckily, that didn't happen, and it was just for the team move, your Ted Lasso moment, if you will. Um, and then we obviously saw the injury of Maximiliano Falcone. I don't know if that's how you say his last name, but that's how I'm going to say it because that's the
Mm.
bad guy in Batman, and a Miami player equals bad guy to me. So Falcone obviously went down with an injury. Hate to see injured players. Worked out for our favor, probably. He's always all over Surge in every matchup. Like it's infuriating to watch how much that guy gets away with. Um, But I was in the Discord live chat whenever this was going down, and like at the end of the game, everyone was so like pissed off or disappointed or whatever. But honestly, like I felt I I felt happy with our performance. Obviously, we didn't get a win, but we didn't lose. Against since we played Miami that I've been a fan, it's been a bloodbath like every time. And this time I feel like we really answered Maxwell. Oh my god. He
Hmm.
his one whenever he broke the dude's ankles as a center back, that's cool to see. And then two, he was just all over Messi all night. Um, so like obviously it's one game. We have another one tomorrow. Who knows how that one will go? But I feel like Maxwell might be the answer to Messi. Um, Give me some of your thoughts, Matt.
Yeah, no, I can totally understand. Like you were saying, I kind of mentioned this earlier. Like what the people with the frustration of the discords is uh, to play as good as we did, not beat Miami. That's frustrating. But at the same time, like I said, I kind of turned the corner, started seeing the bright side, seeing that away goal opportunity, being like, okay, well, sucks we didn't win, sucks we didn't take advantage of the opportunity, but there's more to come. To the point of Maxwell Woladaisy, we talked a little bit about what we'd lose with Walker Zimmerman going, and not necessarily all Walker's fault. I don't want to throw him under the bus or anything like that, but I think there was times in this game where those messy moments look like they're about to happen, where suddenly the ball springs out to him and he looks like he's in an acre of space, and I'm like sitting at this bar by myself in Atlanta last week, being like, "Oh shit!" Like, here we go, and all of a sudden Wolladaisy's on top of him. All of a sudden, Yazbek's on top of him. All of a sudden, Palacios on top of him. Like the closing speed, the ability to take away that space Messi was getting from the players we have now was night and day to what we've seen in the past. It was actually almost like an identical sequence to the League's Cup goal that Messi scored. That was where it's like Walker put in the tackle, but it bounced right back to Messi's foot, and he put it in the back of the net. Where I can't remember which of our players did it, but it almost happened again, where it put in a tackle, bounces right back to Messi's foot, but we were still kind of right on top of him and didn't give him a clean shot, and he basically put it into the upper deck. So it was very interesting to see how we were able to disrupt him and not ever let him look the way he wants to look. It was I watched my friends on the Battered Herons podcast last night. They had another Nashville SC podcaster, Big TV US was on there, and they were discussing it. And they were one of the big points of discussion was that this was not only in the series against Nashville SC, but just for Miami period, it was one of the more underwhelming performances Messi has had for Miami since coming there, in their opinion. And those are guys who've watched every match he's played. So for them to be like, this was a little bit of alarm bells for us that he was this off is good, but also it's kind of like, once again, going back to, you had him, you had the bad Messi game, and didn't get the full advantage of it.
Mm-hmm.
Now you got to hope that that just continues. But I mean, I think there's some things that I look at with what Miami's done so far where, like I said, the way goals rule, the way we're playing, the way they're playing, I'm definitely not as pessimistic coming out of that game as I might have been 2025 season.
Yeah, I mean it excited me, because I think that like we keep bringing up, it's beginning of the season. We haven't really had like a good test yet, and I like despite a bad Messi game, I mean that's the test that we could be asking. Like that's the test that we've been looking for. I mean, what's the hardest game that you can think of for Nashville SC to have? It's probably going to be against Miami, just due to everything that's happened. So I feel like we didn't get the win. We didn't capitalize on all the chances that we should have. But I'm still pretty satisfied with that, and I'm excited to watch him tomorrow. I think I don't think the game is completely thrown in the bin yet. Will Messi come back? Probably. They'll probably switch their game plan a little bit. Uh, we just got to capitalize on our offensive chances, and I think we get through.
Yeah, that was one thing that both Big TV US, the Nashville SC podcaster, and Battered Herons both brought up that both teams seem to like almost like try to do something a little different than what they normally do in that match. It's almost like we've played each other so many times, we got to throw something new at each other, and it kind of, to a certain effect, hurt both teams. So it'll be interesting to see how they bounce, what both teams do. Does Miami kind of try to bring in their pace like they did not go over the top that much? They kind of tried to build up a little bit more. Do we try to press a little bit more because we set a little deeper than we have this season? So it'll be a really interesting match tomorrow just to see how both teams kind of react to that first leg where certain things went well for both teams, certain things didn't go well for other teams. I do think, and I've heard this from other people too, Nashville SC, we're kind of playing with house money because I don't think we came into the season really like expecting to compete for the CONCACAF Championship Cup. It was kind of like, we're glad to be in that competition. We want to do as well as we possibly can, but we're kind of building ourselves up to be like one of the better teams in MLS. Down the road, if we can build something, can we be a more consistent, continental competitor? Maybe. Miami, that's the next thing for them. That's kind of like the last checkbox for them in the messy area is to win that tournament because they've won MLS Cup, they've won the US Open Cup, they've won the Leagues Cup. So this is kind of the last checkbox for them. They went out and they got the Mexican striker as their designated player. I think they did that to have a top-tier player, quote-unquote top-tier player, in the start of the season where they could have maybe waited till the summer and maybe made a move for somebody that was coming off the World Cup and wanting to come to MLS or something like that. So I think they were pretty much putting all their eggs in one basket of kind of going after this tournament. So they're really invested. They're really in on it. We're kind of like, hey, we want to beat Miami. We want to get the monkey off our back. We want to do well in this tournament. But, if we go out and we can go back to focusing on MLS, I think most Nashville SC fans will still consider it pretty successful. I mean, unless we just get smoked. If they beat us like 10-0, that's a different story. But I think if we, go out, have a good match, unfortunately don't go forward in the competition, I think most Nashville SC fans will still be pretty satisfied. So we're kind of playing with house money to a certain extent.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that sentiment. Something just happened in the baseball.
No, there's some like weird commercial for like a Bible like mini series that's gonna be on Fox. I was like, it was like Mini Drivers, and I was like, is Mini Driver playing Mary of Nazareth? I was like, that would caught me off guard. The baseball hasn't even started yet. It's like a 3-hour pre-show. So like, yeah, it was like, I was like, wait, I have Mini Driver. I didn't know why is she playing in a Bible series on Fox? That was the stuff that happens when I'm watching stuff while we record. It's like, whew, I was like, what the heck?
Hey, it's all good. So I honestly, I'll be honest. I haven't looked ahead of the Miami because I'm so like zoned in. Who does Miami or Nashville play if they advance in the CONCACAF? Has that been decided yet?
I believe it's Club America is who's sitting on the other side of this matchup. So it's kind of like the murderer's row continues. You get past Miami, then you got to go play the traditional powerhouse of Mexico next. So it's just like it does not get any easier for either Miami or Nashville SC. It's which that's kind of, I'm sure they probably don't want to admit it because they're high and mighty, but I'm sure there's Miami fans who were looking at the draw, being like, especially after we got like Christian Espinoza and stuff like that, and there's probably Miami fans who are looking like, we get a bye, and we got to play these sons of bitches again in the next round. What the heck? It's like you get a bye, and then you're supposed to get like a not good team, but like I guess like our ranking wasn't that high coming in from the U.S. Open Cup or whatever, so it's like. Here we go again. But yeah, now we both like, I think I'm almost positive it's Club America is probably whoever wins this will be lined up again. So it's basically like two of the top teams in MLS play each other. Then whoever wins that has to play one of the top teams in Mexico. It's like, I've seen a lot of people talking about how like CONCACAF Champions League is just like wildly unbalanced of like how the teams are like spread out. Like there's like Cincinnati, who's been terrible so far this year in MLS, is like smoking all these like Caribbean teams. They've gotten to play somehow. The first, like they're up like they've scored like 20 goals to nil, and they're like CONCACAF Champions Cup matches. So I think it's probably a thing where like they want to balance it, they want to like keep everybody involved, but they probably need to look at some point in time of like, do we really need to have an MLS team play like a small team from the Dominican Republic? Did Nashville SC really need to play Ottawa in that first round, or could we had a Ottawa versus some other small team and just get this like small teams out? Like when I was coaching high school soccer, uh, the region we coached in, the coaches basically got together and said, "Hey, for our playoffs, we're basically playing like 3 extra games just to knock out teams that everybody knows we're going to knock out anyway. Can we like realign to where we don't have to do that?" And so like we realigned ours to where basically like the best team's got a double bye, the next team's got a bye, and so like the 8 through 6 teams all played each other, so you weren't really even getting into competitive matchups until you got to that point. So it's kind of like, do we really need to play 2 extra games when there's one team you know is going to lose anyway? So I think CONCACAF Champions Cup probably needs to maybe realign a little bit. I think one thing they could do, the Champions League in Europe now does like just a straight, almost like league style setup where you play just 7 teams or 8 teams maybe, and it's just across the board. Everybody's ranked, and whoever has the best results out of those 8 matches goes through. So instead of like a knockout, you've got kind of like a group stage build up before, and then you get into like the tough matchups after. I don't know. I think it needs to be realigned a little bit because it kind of feels stupid that we played Ottawa. It kind of feels stupid that Cincinnati's beating the crap out of some little Caribbean teams, and then somehow we have to play Miami. Whoever wins that has to play Club America. It feels like it's a little unbalanced a little bit, but it is what it is. But yeah, I think that's what's next for. I'm almost positive that's what's next for whoever wins this tie is Club America, which.
You said small Caribbean teams, so I just kind of want to shift to something that I saw the other day. We were looking at Brian Chewake, kind of his past career, me and my friend, and we noticed he played for this like little club in Spain, and then that team, I forget what the name is that he came from, but that there was a team in that league called Prison Guard FC, and it's just made up of like all the prison guards in that city, and it's just uh, the world's game, right? I thought
Yeah.
this is so funny, and you can buy tickets to it. Like that's hilarious to me. Um,
Yeah, it's the soccer around the world compared to what it is here is absolutely insane. The level of like teams and stuff there are. Like one of my former players is currently he signed up for like a placement like sports agency where it's not like a you know high level sports agency that gets you like a huge contract. They just basically find you the best opportunity they can to get you the chance to play. So he's over there playing in like the 5th division in Germany right now, which is crazy. But I mean, like that's awesome for him. I'm like super excited for him. But it's at the same time, it's like that. There's a, like we barely have a 2nd division in America, and they've got like more than 5 divisions in Germany, and it's probably like highly competitive. And I'm sure there's teams like that that are like the the German bakery team where we make the pretzels and then we go play type teams and stuff like that. So
yeah.
it's crazy what they got it going over there.
Um, yeah. Anyways, zoning back in, we're gonna play the second best MLS team this weekend in Florida, and that will be Orlando City. Did I scare you there for a second?
No, I was like second best team in Florida. I was like, yeah, that's an accurate way to describe them because that's about all they can say so far this season.
They are currently 13 out of 15 in the Eastern Conference standings. Nashville's at 2 now, by the way. We're tied with New York City, but they just have more goals than us, and that's why they're above us. But it's 10 points. So, but yeah, we face Orlando City this Saturday, and I'm expecting us to win. Do you think we're going to rotate again, or you think we'll probably go with the best lineup?
I mean, I think it depends. I don't know when, if we were to beat Miami and make it through to the next round of CONCACAF Champions Cup. I'm not off the top of my head. I don't know when that next round would be. If we've got a little break,
Mm-hmm.
you know, Wednesday to Saturday, that's a decent little break where you can kind of bring your strong players back in. But if you do know you've got another not European, CONCACAF Champions Cup match coming up on the other side, maybe you're rotating again. But if we're out and now we can 100% focus on the league, maybe we just go all in and go back to focusing on the league. So I think what happens Wednesday probably will have the biggest determination on what type of lineup we put out Wednesday, or what type of lineup we put out Saturday. But
yeah,
I think seeing what we did against Columbus, one way or the other, I'm going to feel pretty confident about that, especially what we've seen from Orlando so far this season. We're probably on the wrong side of them firing their manager, though. You'd like to get them when things are still a little bit spiraling. They might have a little bit of a new manager bounce coming in with the sacking of their longtime manager, which I could not be happier they fired that guy. Like, I hated the way Orlando played. I hated his attitude. I hated him as a person. I mean, as a person, that might be a little too mean, but just like he just always, I hated it, the way he talked in press conferences. I hated the way he had his team set up and coached. So I was not sad to see him go when he got fired. I'm not sad to see Orlando struggling right now, but it's a good situation to probably get them at this point in the season early still, because I think they had some big ambitions. I think they were wanting to do some big things, and maybe their transfer window did not quite go the way they planned it. Obviously, the big one was they were trying to bring in Antoine Griezmann, but he opted to stay with Atletico Madrid through at least the end of the European season, and I think they have not done anything that will convince him to come there when the summer window opens. But we'll see. Money talks a lot sometimes. So, but yeah, I think they had big ambitions this season. Didn't quite execute on the plan of what they wanted to sign there. So, it's a good time to catch them now. Which, but like I said, I think a lot of what we do lineup wise will be contingent on what happens tomorrow night against Miami.
They've had a pretty rough little stretch so far. In their last 3 games, they've gotten at least one red card, and they lost to New York City 5-0. So it's just this is a team where if the players don't want to warm up before, that's cool. Listen to your music a little bit longer. We'll probably take care of them. I don't want to get too cocky because I always hate getting too cocky and then something crazy happens. But I think it's probably safe to say, if you want to throw $10 on it, Nashville is probably the favorite. I go ahead.
No, I watched that New York game, and that. I think it was 5-0 or 5-1 or whatever it was, and it could have been a lot worse. New York had 3 goals, I think, called off, and they had about 7 or 8 more that just hit the post or got a brilliant save out of the keeper. So that was the one where it was this Orlando team is not, the Orlando team that we've seen the last couple of years, where they were pretty solid, pretty much, a competitive team. They seem like they're in a bit of a bad spot right now. I think they just got their first win last weekend, but it was also against
Montreal.
Montreal, who is somehow even worse, crazily enough. But yeah, so I think it's a good time to be catching them because they seem to be spiraling a little bit right now. So getting in these early days where they haven't figured it out is probably a good spot for us, even if we have to rotate.
Something interesting that I was looking at when I was looking at standings, Philadelphia is at the very, very bottom. I thought that they were a pretty strong team last year, which I could be mistaken, but I'm surprised to see them in Columbus at the bottom. I feel like that's usually not normal for MLS.
Yeah, they're both teams that have been pretty consistent over the years, but they've also been teams that have not. I'm trying to think of the best way to say this. They've kind of let players go. They haven't really always reinforced. They've kind of trusted their own internal stuff a little bit, and I think that's good when you've got a good structure, when you've got a good base. We kind of did that for a couple years. Where it's we didn't really bring in any heavy reinforcements. We kind of just said, hey, we're happy with what we got. Bring in a little piece here or there. But at a certain point in time, I think we saw that with the year we kind of completely collapsed. If you don't make the kind of big moves, you don't make the big swings, you come back down to earth some point in time. And I think that's kind of what has happened to Philadelphia a lot. They've, for 2 or 3 straight years, their best player has left, and they let one of the best coaches in MLS go, and Curtin a few years ago. And they bounced back from that last year, but I think at a certain point in time, if you don't reinforce, if you just keep letting players go, it's going to catch up to you a little bit. And they're also in CONCACAF Champions Cup right now, so I don't know how much they're rotating the MLS matches versus saving players, but they also have like a crazy situation where their uh, chief executive officer has been suspended for like a year for doing inappropriate things, which I'm like, why is he just not fired? I don't understand that whole thing. Like, why are we just like,
Yeah.
I guess they're happy with his job performance enough to be like, hey, you've been a racist and you know, misogynist, but just go do your classes for a year and we'll bring you back or whatever. But yeah, they seem to be kind of hitting the tail end of like trying to squeeze a lot out of a little, and like they're gonna have to kind of do what we did and really reinvest and really reboot to kind of get back to being the team they've been for a long time. And Columbus is kind of in that mode too, where like they had Wilfred Nancy for a long time, who was one of the best coaches in MLS, and now they're kind of having to refigure things out a little bit too. So both of them kind of being in a weird spot is unfamiliar, but if you kind of look at what's happened around them, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, and yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see kind of how they come back and build. Obviously, I've been kind of keeping track of what Philly does because of Soli. I met him at a Nashville SC game one day. He was just out roaming around the pitch before talking to security guards, and I walked down and talked to him for a second. Nice guy. And then my friend is a Man City fan, so we talk about that quite a bit. But kind of moving away from soccer. I don't know if you've felt the energy coming from me, Matt, but I'm a little pissed off at you, um, a little annoyed. If anyone has watched Uncle Mad's vlog, he went to an NBA game, and it was a tough watch, man. You just like you walked around the stadium for the whole game pretty much, and then with your seat for 5 minutes was like, yeah, this is boring. Granted, viewers, it was the Hawks versus the Nets, two teams that are kind of both taking part in this um, tanking game of sorts. But I just, why don't you like basketball, man? I don't understand it.
So, want to apologize to the Hawks fans again. I apologize at the end of the video. They're actually like three at the time of that video. They were like 3 games over 500, and they were like in one of the play-in spots. So they weren't like completely just terrible. But I think it was like I probably am the way with basketball, the way a lot of people are with soccer, where I just don't follow it closely enough to like fully appreciate it. So when I just watch dudes going up and down the court, just shoot, 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 like I don't understand like the intricacies and the smaller details of it. Like if it'd been like a team I was invested in, I definitely would have been more caring. If there'd been any like kind of like notable players or like stars, I'd been like, oh, cool, I can see this player. But like I legit knew nobody on either team, so it was kind of like I'm just watching. And I thought the way they presented it at the Hawks game, like in like my experience going to basketball games is almost exclusively Vandy basketball games in the mid 2000s to early 90s. But they just played music the whole time. It was almost like there was like the basketball game was like just a part of the event and like it was just a sideshow to what else was happening. I was like, how do you get into this? Like, I know like all sports kind of do that. Like football plays music between plays, hockey, they play music like but like when the actual game is going on and like other sports, like the music and the announcer and everything kind of stops. Like it was just like the game was just happening and other stuff was going on. It was kind of distracting almost where I'm like, what? Like at one point, like when I was walking around the concourse, like they're not even playing like the audio from the game in the concourse. It's like just a radio station or something was playing like rap music or something like that. And I was like, I almost thought like the game wasn't on at some point in time when I was like, and then I was like, oh, they're actually out playing out there. It's kind of crazy. So I don't think it was like the best presentation of sports from that perspective, where it's like
Yeah.
it was almost like, hey, we got to keep you entertained because the basketball is maybe not going to be that entertaining, but whatever. But like I said, like if it was if Nashville had a team, I'd be all in. If that had been an event where like Steph or LeBron or
Yeah. Yeah.
SGA or any like player I'd ever heard of was playing, I definitely would have been like paying more attention. But like I literally sat down I looked at the little like side scoreboard that had like the rosters and like what their stats for the game was. And I was like, I have literally never heard of one player on either team. I thought maybe there'd be like somebody. I was like, oh yeah, I remember when he was like on Duke 3 years ago. It was like, nope, I don't know a single player on either team, so I'm just completely lost right now.
I will give you that it was not the most exciting game in terms of basketball, just because there is a bunch of it's really it's the C team for both teams. It's Nets. They have Michael Porter Jr., who's also just like an idiot off the court. And then Atlanta just got rid of their star point guard, and then trade away Tingus Pingus, so he's not there anymore either.
Tingus Pingus?
It,
Is that a real name?
it's
Is that a real name?
Kristaps Porzingis, but
Oh, okay.
there's a meme whenever he got drafted. This guy was reacting to it. He's like, "Who the hell is Tingus Pingus?" So that's his nickname.
He was on one of those teams now. Like I thought he was. This is how out of the loop I am on basketball. I thought he still played for the Mavericks. I was like,
I don't, no, oh God, no. That was like when Luca first got there, I think.
see,
But
but that my buddy Kyle, who's often going to the Titans game with me, he fell in love with basketball. Like this is probably like 7 or 8, maybe even more years ago. He went on a trip with his wife to New York, and they went to a Knicks Grizzlies game because they were in New York at the time the Grizzlies were going to play in New York. And he's like, well, I want to go to Madison Square Garden. I want to see the Knicks play. And that was when, like, I think Carmelo was on the Knicks, and like the Grizzlies probably had like a handful of good players too. And he was like, he came back from that. He was like, dude, basketball's awesome. You want to go on a trip with me to Memphis, see the Grizzlies play? And I was like, what are you talking about? So I was like, but it's like that. If you go to the right game with the right atmosphere and the right situation, it's going to hook you. Like I mean, it's the same as anything: movies, TVs. This was just not the game that would hook anybody into basketball. I think like I was pretty impressed because like I was going into it thinking, oh, the Hawks kind of suck. Nobody's really interested in the Hawks. And you go in there, it was a pretty packed house. Like there's kids in Hawks gear. There's like dads who are like clearly bringing their kids to Hawks games. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. I was like, I can appreciate this from a general sports perspective, but this is not for me. I was like,
I saw an
this
interesting
particular game.
yeah, I saw an interesting like little like fact the other day that the Atlanta Hawks throughout their entire history are even on like wins and losses, and they like
Mm.
have consistently stayed that throughout like every decade, which is just it's interesting. The music thing, playing the music during the game, that is kind of weird unless it's like stadium sounds. That that's weird. I don't think that's normal. Um, so and it could have just been in your I don't know. That's weird to me. Cuz even like you go to like college game or high school game, they stop the music. And
Mm-hmm.
they don't have
Yeah.
announcers or anything. So but I do think basketball is one of those sports where like unless it's like clutch moments or like there can be like exciting dunks or big three pointers, but there isn't like really build up like there is in let's say like soccer where you're anticipating a goal, that one goal score changes or could change the trajectory of the game, or like football you're working for one score of a touchdown. Basketball is different where there's constant scoring, so
Yeah. It's easier to pinpoint what like the important moments and the important parts of the game are in like other sports. Like, and that's what I was saying. Kind of like soccer. Like I can like watch a game and like get a lot of appreciation out of like a nil game, like I did with the game against Miami, where I can see how we played well, how we did some good things, and everything like that. Whereas like basketball fans probably can watch a game that's, to me, I just think they're going up and down the court just doing whatever, and they're like, well, you don't understand that like the foul, certain player got into a foul trouble and they had to adjust, and this guy was getting hot, so they had to kind of take a timeout at the right time and kind of shift they went from a zone to man to try to counter. There's stuff like that I don't pick up on that I'm sure
yeah.
like diehard basketball fans, even in a game like that, were like, no, this was actually a really good game. And like to your point, I also probably watched the least interesting part of any basketball game, which was like the second and third quarter. Like I literally like did not see the fun start of the game. I did not see like any potential hot start, which I did go to a bar down the street to get food after the game and watch the end of the game at that bar. and it was kind of like Atlanta just kind of held on and just kind of kept a 10-point lead for the most of the fourth quarter, and it just seemed like a kind of lackluster finish. But it was like, what is what it is. But good for the Hawks. I'm sure they're happy. Atlanta's kind of a weird sports town. Like it
Yeah.
feels like they should be like a better sports town. Like they should have more success. But it's kind of like the Braves have won a couple World Series and were like super dominant, at least in their division in the '90s. But Falcons have been to a couple Super Bowls, but otherwise kind of suck. The Hawks are just kind of there for the most part. They've had some really good players. Like it was kind of funny walking around the arena, seeing like they're like
Mm-hmm.
ring of legends, and you're like, oh crap, they've had some like really good players here, and they never win anything, I don't think, and
Yeah.
had a hockey team that left them like 3 different times, and
It
weird sports town, but it's a cool place. I always liked Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta's one of those like states where like I've loosely kind of kept up with because where I live in Tennessee, like it's the same distance from Atlanta to Nashville, and then even further from me to Memphis. So like I've kind of loosely kept up with the Hawks forever, but yeah, they're just one of those teams that can they've had good teams, but just never that extra whatever it is that wins big. I think the most of hard to watch part of your vlog was whatever that stand up comedy that you walked into was.
That was something.
That
That was something. I've been to like a lot of like random like bars that have like stand up comedy night, but I have never just like been to one where it did not seem like they even like vetted the stand-ups. They just let anybody who said it was almost like stand-up karaoke, where they just like if you put your name on the list, they were just like, "Here's the mic," because that one guy, like the other guy, most of the guys were trying to tell jokes, and I felt like most of them were trying to like decided that they had to be just like as obscene or like vulgar or as like inappropriate as they could. That seemed to be the theme. And then there was the one guy who just seemed like he was like a brain dead Vietnam veteran or something like that, who was just screaming like about like whatever he was screaming about. I don't think he told a joke. I was literally sitting there like, is this a routine or is this just like your therapy session? So yeah, that was something. And then like the funniest part about it was like, and I mentioned this in the video, was like the door to leave the bar was like right by the stage. So I was like, I cannot leave while somebody's on stage, because like that's like the number one thing a comedian will do, be like, oh, I'm not funny because you're leaving. But like literally like multiple of the comedians literally made jokes. Like they'd tell a joke and nobody would laugh. They'd be like, y'all know you can laugh, right? Or like these are supposed to be jokes. Y'all can laugh. And it's like, not funny. Like it was the weirdest spot I've ever been in, because like there was like literally like I'm sitting there by myself, like don't know anybody, and like everybody's like looking at each other like, are we all hearing the same thing here?
I,
Like some of the stuff I didn't record is even more insane.
I
Like
s-
just like
in your vlog, you're just sitting there. I think you're eating and you or something. You're just like staring into the camera and just like I was like, dude, Matt, you can leave, man. You don't have to stay there and put yourself through this.
I couldn't walk right by him. I had to wait till there was a break and like where there wasn't somebody on stage. I was like, I didn't want to walk right by and have like them like go, oh, look at this guy, he's leaving. And I was like,
I so like side note, but I like follow a lot of stand-up comics on Instagram, and a lot of them are in this kind of niche of like doing bad jokes on purpose. And so like most of the time I find like people bombing to be hilarious, and I'll be like the only person laughing in the room, but, but that one was just like a whole nother level.
it felt like some of the ones, like obviously the insane guy at the end was a different thing, but like it felt like some of the guys were almost trying to do like a bad version of like Sheen Gillis,
Hmm.
where you like almost talk about something inappropriate, almost something not PC, but then you like he finds a way to make it really funny and like bring it back in and be like, no, you're weird for thinking this isn't PC. They were just like, I'm steering into this being like not PC. I'm going to talk about like somebody having Down syndrome, but also just keep making fun of Down syndrome people instead of like at some point in time bringing back the positive side of it. Is like there was like, I don't think you get like the cringy humor, is that there's also supposed to be something funny about it. You guys are just being cringe and not taking that next step with it. You're just like, you're like, let's talk about racism, and it's like there's a way to be funny about it, but you're just you're just like going down a weird path. It was one of the worst things I've ever seen, which I was like, oh
And you went to Hawks versus Nets game, and that was the
yeah.
second worst thing that you watched all night. Um,
Yes, yes.
so you guys go watch that so you know what we're talking about on Uncle Matt's channel. But um, anyways, Oscars happened. We've kind of been leading up to that. One battle after another in Sinners was just pretty much fighting the whole night. Um, man, it's I didn't really realize how much people liked one battle, or no, I didn't realize how much people disliked Marty Supreme. Um, the voting happened before Timothy's comments, so that didn't have anything to do with it. I don't think. Maybe still did, but Marty Supreme lost everything it was nominated for, which I was super shocked by. Um, Michael B. Jordan, Best Actor, won his first Oscar. Paul Thomas Anderson, PTA, he won his first. It was a good night. I think all the awards were deserved. I was pretty happy with it. My prediction for K-pop Demon Hunters to take over the songs, they did. But yeah, it was good. Conan O'Brien wasn't funny. I didn't like any of his jokes really. The funniest part was Kieran McCulkin. I think Kieran McCulkin. He said that
Yeah.
the funny line. He's like, he's not here or doesn't want to be here.
Mm.
Did you watch the Oscars?
Yeah, I thought Conan was decent, but I think they're like ever since like I don't know if you ever watched any of these, but like back when Ricky Gervais hosted the
Yeah.
Golden Globes for a few years, it feels like there was like a been an overcorrection with award shows to where
Yeah.
like now it's just like everything has to be way too safe. He was just like too crazy and stuff like that. So I thought Conan was pretty good, but it's like mostly like cheesy, just kind of like goofy jokes. I mean, there ones you get. I got a little chuckle out of them, but it wasn't like a oh my god he killed it. It was a great host, but I think
Yeah.
they were like it was almost a night like where they had so much like. I think it was because the movies were so good, and like especially also the In Memoriam was going to be such a big deal.
Yeah.
I think they kind of pulled back what they really wanted him to do. So I think they kind of just were like, let's let everything else be the focus. You just pop in, say like a cheeky one liner every once in a while, and we'll just keep the show moving. But yeah, I thought it was mostly. I would agree with everything. You know, the Marty Supreme thing. I think it was kind of like I think it's a little overblown that it like got hate. I think it was just like in a weird spot where it just wasn't quite as good as like Sinners
Yeah.
and One Battle, and then it didn't have like the graphics and the makeup and stuff that like got Frankenstein like 4 awards. So it was kind of in a weird
Yeah.
spot where it was kind of like third third in line behind the first two, but it was also in a weird spot where it wasn't going to win any of those kind of like technical awards either. And I was thinking about you because I know we talked a lot about like the Michael B. Jordan versus uh, Timothy Chalamet thing, and I almost wonder like because I heard a really good argument for him before the awards where like somebody was saying like Michael Jordan was very good in Sinners, but Sinners is an ensemble movie. Like, it's almost like you would still love Sinners just as much without Michael B. Jordan's performance. You like you could maybe wouldn't be maybe as good, but you could probably swap another actor in and Sinners would still be a really good movie. You probably could not get Marty Supreme without Timothy Chalamet's performance. Like
Yeah.
that movie would probably be nothing without that performance. And I was kind of like, you know what? That's something that didn't click in me when I was first thinking about all this, and that made a whole lot of sense. But it almost made me think, like, I just wonder with him. He came out like last year and he had that comment like, I'm wanting to be the best. I'm
Yeah.
going for it all. Which I was like, that's pretty awesome. Like, from somebody who loves sports, I'm like to hear like an actor kind of have that kind of
Athletic mindset.
competitive fire, yeah, that mindset was kind of like really, really cool. But the people who vote for Oscars are kind of these old, stodgy Hollywood people, so they might not have reacted that well to that kind of attitude.
Hmm.
And then that's the exact same attitude that the Marty Supreme character has. So it's kind of like doubling down on it. So I wonder how much that might have hurt him in this is just like the perception that he's like,
Yeah.
oh, he thinks he's the best. And there's this movie where he's playing a character who, oh, this character thinks he's the best. Like it almost like got him a negative rap or something like that. But like, he'll get his eventually. He's in the same mold as like Leo, all these guys.
Yeah.
Like he's gonna get it one day. Like the Dune trailer came out today, and
Yeah.
I mean,
Do I,
he might just have to. If he goes into a cave and doesn't come out until like 2028, he might win an Oscar. Then he might do a Sean Penn and just not have to show up next year and get his Oscar.
the Oscars notoriously don't like young guys, or I won't say don't like young guys, but don't favor them to win. That's, we've seen that time and time again. But I did see something interesting with like Marty Supreme not winning any awards is the most Marty Supreme way that they could have ended this kind of run. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, we have to talk about Dune 3. The posters are incredible. The trailer was incredible. I think that for me personally, if this movie is good, which we have no reason to think that it won't be, this will be the best sci-fi trilogy of all time for me.
Hmm.
I'm putting it above Star Wars. It, I'm so excited for it. I'm a big lover of Dune. I think I've said that a couple times. Dune Messiah is a fantastic book that it's going to be based off of. I'm interested to see the public perspective of it. I don't know if we've talked about this or not, but when Dune Messiah the book first came out, it came out as like installments in a magazine, and it was like notoriously hated. Um, it was the Onion, I think, gave it like the biggest disappointment of the year. So there's some story beats and things that happen that I'm interested to see what like the general kind of non diehard consensus of that will be. But it looks so eerie. It's really, don't go into thinking it's a sci-fi movie. It's a thriller with a sci-fi skin on it.
Yeah, I have a weird relationship with Dune. I think every time there's been a trailer that's released for all three movies, I've been like, "Oh my god, that looks like the most singing thing in the world." I've watched the movie, somehow not retained anything from it. The second movie came out, I was like, "Oh, I got got to rewatch the first movie." Then I was like, "Oh, I got to read the Wikipedia because I still don't know what happened." Watch the second movie, I was like, "That was incredible. I don't know what happened. I got to read the Wikipedia." And so like I saw the trailer today and I was like, this looks awesome. I was like, I have no idea what happened in the last two movies. So I reread all the Wikipedias today and read a bunch of other stuff. And like I think to what you're kind of alluding to, one of the interesting things I saw was that like there was a lot of people who were like have read the books and are like diehard way more into like the full Dune universe than I am, that were saying like, okay, you thought the first two might have been a little out there. There's some stuff that might be coming in this one if they really do like apparently straight adapt Messiah that might not translate to your standard movie going audience the way other stuff has. So I've never read the books. I'm going in completely blind. But I did read some stuff that says Messiah's very weird, very different, and if like they straight up just adapt it as it is, it might be a little jarring.
Yeah, it's still no spoilers, of course. It's still grounded. The later books, the it that's when it gets really like just like pure weird. And I don't know if those will ever could be adapted just because of like the stuff that happens. But this one's a little bit more grounded, and I think that it's tastefully done because like there, there's one thing that I'll say because it was on the poster. It was Jason Momoa as Hate, the character name. And if you remember in the first movie, he died and his name was Duncan Idaho.
I thought that. I was like, what is he doing here? I thought he died already. Once again, I retained so little. I like watched him, enjoyed him, loved him. But then I'm like, I remember nothing or fully nothing sunk in on me. And I'm like, wait a minute, he's back?
So,
But he's in every movie. He's in every movie now. So I just assume if I see him, I'm like, oh yeah, he's supposed to be in this.
yeah. So like that's kind of one of those like cheap tropes of like bringing back a dead character. That's not a spoiler. It's literally on the poster that came out. That like I think general audiences might not resonate with like some of the beats like that, but in the book they're fantastic and they were completely well done. And Denis Villeneuve, he's pretty faithful to the books. He likes to stick to him if he can. So far, that's what he's done. And he respects Dune. He loves Dune. He like said he read it a ton growing up as a teenager. So I think we'll probably see pretty close to that. I don't want to. I can't wait for it to come out so we can really talk about it because I don't want to spoil anything. But I'm so excited for that to come out. I think if that movie is a 7 out of 10, which I assume it's going to be better, I think we have to put it in the greatest trilogy conversation, and I think Timothy will get his Oscar with that.
Yeah, it's one of the things I do remember from like watching the last two when I rewatched them. Was I think it was I didn't realize it when I saw the first one, but before I watched the second one, I had read all this stuff about how like it's kind of like the main influence to borderline what George Lucas ripped off
It
to
is.
make Star Wars.
Yeah.
And like the second one, especially when I watched that, because that was the first time I had that in my head, I was like, oh, George Lucas just saw this and went, if I make this a lot dumber and simpler, people will really love this. Like if I just don't use like weird made up language and just use basic words like the force, people will like love this. Cause like the second one, I was like, oh, he's Luke Skywalker. Oh, he's so and so. I was like, this is all the Emperor. Oh, he's Darth. Yeah, it was like I was like glass shatter. Like
Yeah.
this is just Star Wars, but it's more complicated and intricate.
Yeah, Dune laid the groundwork for so much sci-fi stuff that people like don't even realize. Um, Robert Pattinson's in this one as like the main kind of antagonist, which I love that guy. I know you're a hater of Batman, but I love that movie. I thought he did great, and I think he in good times he's great.
I liked him as Batman. I have some issues with the movie itself, but I like him as Batman. I do think between when I saw the trailer for this and like the posters and like everybody that's in it, I'm like, between this and the Odyssey, the like three actors in Hollywood that didn't get cast in either one have to be just like, what do I got to do? Because everybody's in those two movies. Like literally everybody in Hollywood is in those two movies, except like there's like four actors who are sitting there calling their agent, being like, what happened? Everybody's in these two movies. What's that? That's the one thing that like, because I think like Dune has a little bit of that like Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, where maybe they've been waiting to like reward the whole series at the end, as opposed to like giving Oscars to like part one or part two.
Yeah.
But this next year of movies is freaking insane. Like the Odyssey's coming out. I know you're seeing this coming week, Project Hail Mary. Everybody's freaking out about it. The early reviews for it are insane. Um, there's the sequel to The Social Network, which is going to be weird but interesting nonetheless, is coming out. I feel like there's like 5 or 6 other things that are slipping my mind right now. But there's like 10 insane movies that are coming out this year. It is going to be a dogfight for Best Picture if all these movies like live up to the hype next year.
Yeah, Avengers,
Like,
Doomsday, Spider-Man, Brand
oh
New
yeah,
Day.
it's just not even counting like the non kind of Oscar movies. Like
Mm-hmm.
2025 felt like I think there's like I was kind of thinking of this when I was watching the Oscars. It felt like there was a little bounce back post COVID, like maybe like around 2022, 2023, where the movies kind of picked back up. And then I think they had like the writer's strike, which kind of slowed things down the last couple of years. Because I totally forgot. Like I was sitting there talking to my friend. I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. Oppenheimer won last year, and they were like, no, Anora won last year, and I was like, oh yeah, Anora. I totally forgot about everything that came out in 2024. So this felt like the movie, like the year where things pick back up. But like looking at next year's slate, it's going to be a good year for movies. I think at least it's going to be a interesting year for movies. Like a lot of hype. We'll see what happens.
A lot of long movies coming out too. So make sure that you have enough popcorn and pee breaks. Maybe take a bag to pee in so you don't have to leave.
I think I'm gonna have to. I've gotten a bad habit of just not ever going to the movies. I got to get back into going to the movies because like I can deal with longer. For whatever reason, I can deal better with like longer movies in the theater because I think you're just kind of closed off. Like you
Yeah.
shut your. It's like when I'm at home and I'm like watching like a 3-hour movie and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I'm gonna go do 3 other things or I'm gonna be on my phone the whole time or something like that. It's like I got to get back into like these big movies, going and seeing them in the theaters. Like I watched one battle after another at home on HBO Max, and I was like, I really wished I'd watched this in the theater because I bet it was like as good as I enjoyed it at home. I bet I would have just been like on the edge of my seat if I watched it like in a completely closed off from the outside world. But yeah, a lot of stuff. I'm debating. I think we've talked about this already. I'm debating if I want to. I feel like I have to see it in the theaters because it looks like it has to be a theater with
Mm-hmm.
Project Hail Mary. But I bought the book, but I'm trying to hold the book and not read it till I go on vacation because I need a book to read on vacation. So I'm kind of like in a bit of a conundrum where like I'm not going on vacation until May. The movie's coming out like next week, so I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
what am I gonna do?
I yeah, I think you gotta go watch it. I think it's a theaters movie.
I think I have to.
Um,
I think I have to.
not yeah, but to your point, like not only is like are we probably going to get very strong written movies, well produced, whatever. These are gonna be movies that are like theater cinema experience movies with
Hmm.
the Odyssey.
Yeah.
That's an IMAX, obviously. Project Hail Mary, obviously, and then something like Dune Part 3. Even some of the Marvel movies will look better probably. um like this is going to be a great year for cinema, I think. Hopefully ballet and opera are doing good too. I hope they have a strong year. Who knows?
I'm kind of taking Timmy's side on that one because like I was thinking about that after we talked about it last week. I was like, what was the last like new ballet that people were like, oh, you got to go see this ballet? They've changed the game. The new ballet came out. It's
The
like I think
Nutcracker.
they're just doing this. They're doing the same ballets that came out like 100 years ago. I don't think there's new ballet. I mean, like there's new performers, so I'm sure are doing a good job and like keeping the art alive. But I mean, like
It's crazy
I don't think he
too.
was.
The day
I
after
think he
the
was completely
Oscars,
wrong.
everyone switched. The whole internet has
Yeah.
now switched, and like we've seen people in ballet, people in opera come out and be like, yeah, we are struggling. This is like the only way that we're surviving is through government funding, which is now like who knows what's happening with that. And so like we had this huge blow up for it to just be like brought down in a few days, which Timmy was always on the right side of it. He's I mean, hell, as every like video I've seen of him recently, he's wearing a New York City ballet hat. Like his family grew up in it. He knows it. He respects it. I think it's just one of those kind of fake outrages that people have just because someone is successful, I think.
Oh yeah, it was one of those things where like I think Timothy Chalamet told the truth, but sometimes you just can't tell the truth. You got to like walk a tightrope and beat around the bush. And it's like I said, like I mean, I think if you ask me like what's the best ballet you can think of that you've seen in recent years, be like, oh, that Darren Aronofsky movie, Black Swan, that was a great ballet. They'd be like, that's a movie. I'd be like, oh, still like
he
an opera even worse. Like opera even worse. Who's doing operas? Like when's the last time somebody wrote an opera?
I I don't know if you've seen Darren Aronofsky or however you say his name, but like he's a good director. He's made great movies. For some brain dead reason, he came out with this like fully AI like series that he did in
Hmm.
collaboration with the Time, going over like American history, and it's just like 100% AI. It looks bad. I don't like AI and creativity, and it's just that's one thing that really pisses me off, and I don't know why he tarnished his like reputation with that.
Yeah, I didn't see the actual material he produced, but when I heard that he had done it, it actually kind of like made sense for me because he's always been such like kind of like a weird experimental type director that I could almost kind of understand him at least dipping his toe in the water and just kind of like seeing what he could do with it. Like I don't know that like if he something he's going to keep doing going forward. Obviously that sucks. Like I think there are benefits to AI.
Mhm.
Some of it, but like he shouldn't just completely replace. Like I like to use it to like help clean things up. Like hey, I wrote this sentence. Does this look like an idiot wrote it? And like, no, you maybe should put this comma here and there. It's like it's almost like a high level spell check is what I use it for. But like
Yeah.
I would never, I would hope we're not going to get to the point where like people are just going to go, hey, write me a movie script and then just go make the movie with it. So it, look at this movie script. Did I forget to kill a character or something like that? Maybe that'll be helpful, just like as like a spell check editor type thing.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure editors out there don't want to hear me say that and be like, well, hey, we have a job. We're supposed to do that. You're
Yeah.
going to get us all fired. I think there's ways to use it. I don't want it to become like the be all end all. Like to make an entire movie, an entire TV series project is probably too far, but it almost makes sense for me to hear that he did that because he's such a weirdo, just dip his toes into all kinds of different pools and waters. It makes sense that he would at least explore that avenue.
I think it can be helpful as a tool. I don't like it being used as a crutch, which I think is
Yeah.
we're as a society, which that's a whole other conversation about that. We're kind of riding that line pretty closely, I think. But out of movie talk, I kind of want to end back Nashville sports. The Titans are doing some things. Matt, can you talk us through that? I have been completely checked out of it. Help me out here. Help all the non-football people out.
Yeah, we kind of officially launched the NFL offseason a week or so ago. Free agency kicked off. Titans made a lot of good moves. I thought they didn't necessarily like make any kind of like big time superstar signings. Like there's not going to be any household names that you've got your poster on the wall. But I thought they definitely improved the roster, and that's kind of all you could hope from at this point in time. The NFL's kind of gotten interesting to where I don't think you're going to see as many big names hit the market because they keep increasing the salary cap because they have so much money. Teams are doing a little bit better job retaining their players. It's more like when an AJ Brown loses his mind and they have to trade him, that players like that start moving, stuff like that. So I like what the Titans did in free agency for the most part. I mean, some people criticize them for like overspending, but when you're a bad team, you kind of got to overspend to kind of course correct and get back on track. The bigger news really for the Titans was the new uniforms, logo, rebrand, everything that came out. Um, I like it. I'm a big fan of everything. I can understand the people that are not as big a fan of it. Like I always will love the old Fireball logo. I'll always understand the people that are nostalgic for that. Don't want to see it go, but I like the kind of more clean, classic, normal looking new logo they've got. And I'm not a hater of like kind of going in the direction of kind of the old Oilers uniforms. They were the Oilers when they first came here. They were the Tennessee Oilers for whatever it was, 2 or 3 years when they first arrived. So it's not something I'm too hating of. I always liked the Titans stuff, but I also kind of thought we were like came in at the wrong time where like a lot of teams were doing like this weird pseudo futuristic cartoony style uniforms and stuff like that they're fine, but it's like I liked it like for the first time really we kind of have like a classic really proper NFL looking uniform.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some of the people are complaining about it being too Oilers, say people who whenever we would wear the Oilers throwbacks would be like, oh, these Oilers throwbacks are sick. These are some of the best jerseys in the world. And now that they're like kind of more permanent, they're like, oh, we shouldn't be the Oilers. It's like, can't do both. Like, we got to have it one both ways. So, and I think they'll grow into it and they'll bring some of the old elements back as they go. There'll be throwback jerseys. There'll be alternate jerseys that are like a little bit more old school Titans too. So I don't think they're going to they're completely just abandoning the Titans. Like, I think we also are, this year, we're one of the teams that's going to get the rivalry third jersey for like the AFC matchup. So I could see that being a more like traditional Titans looking jersey whenever that one gets announced. But I liked it. I mean, like, I think we need to do as much as we can as a fan base or as a team to get our fan base back reinvigorated. Because I mean, if you watched my Titans game day vlogs this past season, I quit doing them halfway through the season because it just sucks so bad. So anything we can do to make the team exciting, to make the franchise exciting again, I think it's a step in the right direction. So I think overall it's been a good offseason so far. The Titans, we're a couple of weeks away from the NFL draft. We'll see what the next kind of big moves they do there is. So so far so good for the Titans on the offseason.
I also saw the uniform, and I'm, obviously not super attached to anything Tennessee Titans, but I thought it was a clean uniform. I do like the the sword part of the old logos. I don't know if that came back. I don't think it did, but um, I did love the sword, so I'm sad to see that gone. But it's clean. It's one of those things. Once I see it on a player too, it'll probably look better. Just with how all jerseys are for me.
Yeah, I kind of said the same thing. Like, I think every time a Nashville SC jersey has gotten like leaked or released, I've been like, oh, this looks like, yeah. And then when like the team comes out and they're actually wearing it, like this year's jersey, like now that I've actually seen it in action, the players are playing it, and I'm like, oh, it's not as bad as I thought it was. So I like this jersey from the get go. So I'm sure once I see it in action, I'll like it even more and bring it back to soccer. One of the things I think I really like about the new logo specifically is it looks like a soccer crest. The way it's just like kind of like a
Mm-hmm.
straight up like little badge more than anything. Like I could see them doing like I know a lot of teams have started doing like baseball jerseys and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. I could see the Titans putting out like a Titans soccer jersey where that's the crest, and I'd be like, sign me up, I'll buy that right away.
Yeah, that'd be super cool. Um, Matt, do you have anything else for tonight?
I don't think so. I think we kind of hit everything. Good in-depth conversation. I can't think of anything else.
Sweet. All right. Well, you guys know Wormy on YouTube. Expect some actual content coming there soon. Dylan tries to read on TikTok. I've been inactive there too. Schoolwork has just been kicking my butt, but I have a couple things lined up. I have a stack over there that I read that I need to do videos on. But check me out there. Wormy tweets, I think, on Twitter. I'm kind of on there. I just go on there to like mess with messy bots. Anytime you tweet like Miami or Messi, you'll have like bots pretty much responding. So it's fun to engage with those, but I don't really do much else. Matt, if you want to drop your plugs.
Yeah, it's Uncle Mad with two D's on all social platforms. Sometimes there's an underscore, sometimes there's not. There's always two D's. YouTube kind of is the main platform where I post a bunch of stuff. I think I've got a little bit of an idea. I might be debuting this tonight. We'll see what happens. I thought I want to do more check-ins, more daily type stuff. So I might start launching kind of like a daily series where either shorts, TikTok, YouTube live, something like that, where I'll just pop on 5 to 10 minutes, talk about whatever was in the news that day, whatever was on my mind that day, just kind of a daily check-in just to kind of keep my channel active, keep myself active, keep doing stuff. Because that's been kind of my theme for 2026 is trying to be more active on YouTube. Because I think like 2025 was like a down year where it was like by the end of the year, pretty much all I was doing was like Nashville SC vlogs and complaining about the Titans and quitting doing that. So I'm trying to be more active, picking the camera up more, putting out a little bit more content. So I might just try to do some new kind of daily check and stuff. And I might start, I was thinking about that because I was like, I'm in Georgia. I brought all the equipment down here with me to do the podcast. I might as well like do something else while I'm down here. So I might do like a quick little debut for a new series tonight. We'll see. This will come out long after I've done this, so it might already be out there. Go to my YouTube channel and see if it happened or not.
Hopefully, you guys will be able to check that out. Thank you guys for tuning in this week. We will see you next week. Good luck to the boys in gold. Titans, keep doing your thing, and hopefully, Project Hail Mary is a banger of a movie. We'll see y'all next week.